Picture this. Imagine a silence so loud it drowns out every thought. Imagine a stillness so heavy it presses down on your chest like a weight you cannot move. Picture yourself alone in a dark room, the clock ticking too loudly, every second stretching into an eternity. Your phone lights up your face, empty. No messages, no signs, just the cold glow reminding you that the one you want most is unreachable. And even though your mind tells you to let go, your body refuses, because deep inside, something aches, something restless, something wired to chase what it fears to lose. This isn't just loneliness, it's the fierce, silent battle inside every human heart. The tension between wanting safety and craving the storm, between the calm that soothes and the chaos that awakens, between peace that soothes and fire that burns. What if I told you that the very thing you're drawn to, the intensity, the danger, the uncertainty, was not a flaw, not a mistake, but a signal? A whisper from your ancient biology running on code written long before the words love or trust ever existed. Your brain is a battlefield. Dopamine and adrenaline wage war with oxytocin and serotonin. Your heart races not because of kindness alone, but because of contrast, the push and pull that stirs your nervous system awake. You don't just want affection, you want to feel alive. And sometimes that means being drawn to the man who scares you. The one who holds power not by tenderness, but by mystery. The one whose silence cuts deeper than words ever could. Because unpredictability triggers something primal, a survival instinct masked as desire. But here's the bitter truth most never hear. That fire can consume you. Attraction born from fear and uncertainty is a double-edged sword. It can create passion, yes, but it can also breed anxiety, exhaustion, and pain. The very chemistry that fuels obsession can destroy peace. Yet many mistake this storm for love. They chase the lightning strike, believing it to be destiny, when in fact it's just a chemical reaction. And the tragedy is not just in the chase, it's in forgetting who you are in the storm. Because real power does not come from being the storm. It comes from being the ground beneath it. The night is so quiet, you can hear your own pulse. The room is dark, except for the pale glow of your phone, lighting your face from below. You've checked it 10 times in the last minute, pretending you're not waiting, pretending you don't care. But your body has already confessed the truth. Your stomach is tight, your breathing is shallow, your mind is building scenarios faster than you can stop it. Maybe she's busy, maybe she forgot, maybe she's laughing with someone else, maybe you were never as important as you thought. And the terrifying thing is not that any of those thoughts are true, it's that your nervous system reacts to them as if they are. Your heart accelerates, your chest feels hollow, a simple silence becomes a threat. And in that moment, you understand something ancient about attraction. It does not live in logic. It lives in fear of loss. Somewhere in the distance, life continues normally. Cars pass, lights flicker in other apartments, people sleep peacefully. But inside you, there's a storm created by absence, by uncertainty, by the possibility that something you want is slipping out of your reach. And here is the paradox, my friend. The same force that makes silence unbearable is the force that makes attraction burn. Humans are not pulled hardest toward safety in the beginning. They are pulled toward stimulation, toward contrast, toward emotional movement. A person who is completely predictable does not activate the survival brain, but a person who might disappear does. Dopamine spikes in uncertainty. The brain locks on to what it cannot secure. Attention sharpens like a hunter in the dark. Memory becomes obsessive. Every word, every glance, every pause gets replayed and analyzed. The mind circles the mystery because mystery signals importance, and importance feels like love, but it isn't love yet. It's pursuit wearing a romantic mask. This wiring is older than civilization, older than promises. For most of human history, survival depended on noticing what was unstable, what could vanish. The brain evolved to chase difficulty because difficulty once meant value. Food was difficult, shelter was difficult, safety was difficult. The hardest things to secure were the things that kept you alive. That equation never left the body. So when a woman feels drawn to a man who scares her emotionally, a man she cannot fully predict, her brain marks him as significant. Not because he is morally superior, not because he is kinder, but because uncertainty lights up ancient circuits that scream, pay attention. and attention is intoxicating. Some people carry an even deeper imprint. A childhood where affection came inconsistently teaches a quiet lesson. Love is unstable. Love must be chaste. Love hides behind effort. So the adult heart grows addicted to tension. Calm affection feels unfamiliar, like a language it never learned. Chaos feels recognizable, and recognition feels like home. This is one of the saddest truths about human bonding. We do not only seek happiness, we seek familiarity. Even when familiarity hurts, pain that matches memory feels safer than peace that feels foreign. And so people walk back into emotional climates that wound them, again and again, calling it destiny, calling it chemistry, calling it fate, when often it is simply repetition wearing poetic clothes. Modern culture tells us we should want stability above all things, emotional safety, softness, reliability. And intellectually, we agree, we nod, we say yes, that is love, that is maturity. But biology is not persuaded by speeches. The nervous system evolved in movement, in danger, and unpredictability. It wakes up for contrast. When relationships become perfectly smooth, stimulation drops, dopamine fades, the brain stops highlighting the partner as urgent, and humans misread that quiet as emotional death. They say the spark is gone. But sparks were never designed to last forever. Sparks are signals. They are ignition, not foundation. Fireworks are loud, beautiful, unforgettable, and gone in seconds. Warmth is quieter. It doesn't beg for attention. It stays. This is where bitterness takes root in many good men. They offer devotion, loyalty, steady presence, and watch attention drift toward volatility. It feels like betrayal by the universe itself. Like kindness is invisible and chaos is magnetic. But attraction is not a judge, it is a reflex. And reflexes do not negotiate with fairness. They fire according to wiring older than reason. Yet intensity is a debt that always collects. A relationship fueled purely by emotional fear burns hot and collapses fast. The same uncertainty that creates obsession eventually creates anxiety. The storm that once felt romantic becomes exhausting. No heart can live in permanent emergency without tearing itself apart. Even the soul addicted to chaos eventually whispers, "I want rest." That whisper is the beginning of wisdom. Real connection begins when someone learns to separate stimulation from depth, when they realize the loudest emotion in the room is not always the truest one. Obsession is not intimacy. Anxiety is not passion. Fire is not warmth. The answer is not cruelty, not manipulation, not learning how to scare someone on purpose. The answer is gravity. A grounded man carries intensity without chaos. He has edges, but they are controlled. He has mystery, but it comes from depth, not games. His life is full without begging for completion. That independence creates space, and space allows desire to breathe. He is stable, but not dull. Strong, but not violent. Present, but not desperate. That balance is rare. Most people swing wildly between suffocation and starvation, giving too much or disappearing entirely. But the ones who find the middle ground stop confusing storms with love. They stop worshiping volatility simply because volatility is loud. And when that happens, attraction changes shape. It becomes slower, heavier, more durable. Not a spike that crashes, but a current that flows. Something that does not depend on fear to stay alive. And the awakening, brother, is realizing the heart you're trying to understand is not broken. It is running ancient code. Once you see the code, rejection stops feeling like a verdict on your worth. You see the machinery beneath the emotion. You understand that chemistry is not character. Stimulation is not destiny, and clarity brings a strange peace. Because when you understand the storm, you stop chasing it. You stop measuring your value by how loudly someone reacts to your absence. You stop begging to be the spark and start becoming the ground. And the ground is where real strength lives. Not in being feared, not in being chased, but in being steady enough to remain when the fireworks fade and the quiet arrives. Because after the noise dies, after the chemistry cools, after the chase ends, what survives is not intensity. What survives is presence. And presence, my friend, is the rarest attraction of all. And if there's one thing I want you to carry with you after all of this, after the psychology, after the explanations, after the storm of words, it's this. You were never broken for wanting connection. You were never weak for feeling deeply. And you were never foolish for mistaking intensity for love, because every human nervous system learns that lesson the hard way. No one escapes it. Not the strong, not the intelligent, not the experienced. We all walk through the fire before we understand what burns. But listen carefully now. Your worth was never meant to be measured by how desperately someone fears losing you. That is not love. That is chemistry playing tricks in the dark. Real value is quieter than that. It doesn't scream. It doesn't beg. It doesn't perform. It stands. The world will try to teach you that attraction is a competition, that you must be sharper, colder, more distant, more dangerous to survive, that you must become a storm just to be noticed. And yes, storms attract attention. They shake the sky. They demand to be seen. But storms don't last. And the people who build their identity around being a storm spend their lives exhausted, always chasing the next reaction, the next spike, the next proof that they matter. That is not power. That is hunger disguised as dominance. Real power is something else entirely. It's the man who can sit in silence without panicking, the man who can care without collapsing, the man who does not disappear inside someone else's approval. Presence is heavier than intensity. Anyone can create noise. Very few can create gravity. And gravity is what makes people stay. There will always be those who chase chaos because chaos feels alive. Let them chase it. That is their lesson to learn, not yours to interrupt. Your job is not to compete with storms. Your job is to become ground, solid, centered, unmoved by every passing wind. Because when the fireworks fade, and they always do, people look for something steady to land on. They look for a place where their nervous system can finally rest. Be that place. Not by shrinking, not by pretending to be emotionless, but by knowing yourself so deeply that rejection no longer rewrites your identity. The moment you stop begging to be chosen, you become someone worth choosing. The moment you stop performing for validation, your presence becomes undeniable. And here is the quiet truth most people never reach. You do not become unforgettable by being louder. You become unforgettable by being real in a world addicted to performance. There is strength in calm. There is attraction in stability. There is beauty in a heart that does not have to scream to be heard. So walk forward with that understanding, not bitter, not hardened, but awake. Let others chase sparks if they must. You build the fire that lasts the night. And when someone finally stands in front of you and recognizes that warmth, not the chaos, not the fear, not the game, but the steady human presence, you will understand something most people spend their lives searching for. The deepest attraction is not found in storms. It's found in the rare person who feels like home. And when you become that person, not for them, but for yourself, you stop chasing. And you